Hello, and thank you for watching this ag forecast for the Western U.S. I'm Andrew Pritchard, Senior Meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. We'll take a look first at the satellite picture here as the sun comes up on this Friday morning. This is a special satellite picture as it's showing the visible satellite, but also some of the coldest cloud tops that are being picked up here by the infrared satellite. So you can see the cutoff low, the one that delivered all of the cold air and the wintry precipitation to the central Rockies, continuing to spin away across the upper level low situated right around eastern Wyoming, moving into Nebraska and South Dakota this morning. Slowly going to be moving off to the east as we head through the weekend. We've got clear skies across the western half of the country where you can see the sunshine through the smoke right now. We're looking at the high resolution rapid refresh smoke model right now. And as we get started on Friday morning, obviously very dense smoke along the western half of the country. Here's the cutoff low starting to migrate off to the east. And as I animate this, it's really kind of a fascinating animation, even if it is a really detrimental product that we're modeling. But you can see the smoke picked up by the cutoff low as it starts to move off to the east. But what I really want to show with this is as the low moves off to the east, we begin to expand ridging across the western and central part of the country. So all of the smoke that's been accumulating here from the critical fire risks over the last several days is going to start to be pushed back across the west, cloaking the western half of the country here, and then even spreading into parts of the central U.S. So dense smoke as we head through the weekend, really low air quality in some areas. That's really going to be the theme here. So high pressure moves back in. We're not going to be turning back toward any extreme heat, but the smoke is going to be thick across the western third, western half of the U.S. as we head into the weekend and early next week. This is a graphic I saw here early this morning showing the top 20 largest California wildfires in modern history, and 6 of the top 20 are ongoing right now as we continue a very devastating fire season across the western half of the country. Now, as we look at the radar, obviously nothing going on across the west right now. We've got that cutoff low starting to run out of moisture across the midsection of the country, just some scattered showers and storms across the central U.S. eastward into parts of the mid-Mississippi Valley. So as we look at the last 72 hours, precipitation, a lot of that has again been concentrated right in the midsection of the country associated with that cutoff low, and a frontal boundary that's been just kind of parked across the midsection of the country is that one that stalled out early in the week. We've also seen some heavy precipitation across coastal areas of the east and the southeast, but again, dry across the west, but there may be hope on the horizon. I'm showing you the next 7 days forecast precipitation from the National Weather Service, and I want to draw your attention, if it hasn't already been drawn there, to parts of northern northern California, up into eastern portions of Washington, western portions. Again, my directions mixed up here and my states here, and I'll get another cup of coffee after recording this video. I want to draw your attention to the rainfall here that we're starting to forecast across western portions of Washington, Oregon, and northwestern California. And that's going to happen as this cutoff low that's been kind of just parked across the west and even at times worsened the ridging, the heat and the fire risk across the west. Right now the models are starting to bring this thing back to the east. And what happens when we do that, I'll show you what the models are projecting right now. Here comes that low starting to move into moving to the east, taking a fast current of winds then around the base of that trough, bringing that across the northwest. What happens when we do that? I'm showing you a map here with precipitable water. So looking at the moisture content within the atmosphere, you see the very dry air mass situated across the west right now. Check out the big moisture plume here across the Pacific. It gets grabbed by this area of low pressure. We take a big fetch of deep moisture and then bring it in here across the Pacific Northwest as we get into early next week. This starts to arrive as we get into around the Monday timeframe, September 14th. So this could be potentially great news here, bringing this big fetch of moisture here into the Pacific Northwest. So we're looking at the probability here from the European ensemble model, the probability of picking up a half an inch of precipitation or more over the next 10 days. And where you see those orange and red shaded colors, that's where we're picking up an 80 to 90% chance of picking up a half an inch of rainfall across this area. As I go ahead and just show you how this happens and the timing, we'll look at the European model's precipitation forecast. This is the operational model run. Now we'll see the cutoff low across the central Rockies again begin to migrate off to the east as we head through the first part of the weekend. So any wintry precipitation or cold rain that's falling across the state of Wyoming here during our day on Friday should come to an end as we head into the day on Saturday. Quiet as we head through the weekend. You start to see some of the moisture starting to be picked up here off the Pacific coast as we get into early Monday, with some of that rain activity starting to move into the western portions of Washington and Oregon and maybe far northwestern California, as we again get into maybe late Monday night, getting into Tuesday, Wednesday morning as it stands right now. We'll take a look at the total precipitation forecast then, also from the European operational model. Again, keeping it pretty dry as we head through the weekend, entirely dry across the western U.S., with the exception being the departing precipitation here Friday across the central Rockies. But as we head into the day on Monday, especially late in the day Monday into Tuesday, here we go. Now getting into Tuesday morning, Tuesday night, taking it into Wednesday now. We just continue to see some rain here, and then bringing in another wave potentially now that we're getting way out here into the 7 to 8 day time frame where we got higher uncertainty, but potentially keeping that pattern going, so we bring some really beneficial rainfall into this area. And now to back that up, we've also got the GFS, which is on to the same idea. So at least we've got agreement now as we get into the days 4 to 7 time frame with this event, that we've got some good confidence, good increase in confidence, and good agreement between our two major models on bringing some rainfall in here. And even the GFS a little bit more gung-ho about potentially bringing some of that into Northern California as well as we get into the mid and later part of the next week. So talking about the fire weather risk as we head through the weekend, we're actually improving things here. We've got a couple days without critical fire weather risks across the area, and that's largely because of two factors. We've started to modify this air mass. We're not talking about, relative humidity values in the single digits anymore. We're talking about generally between 20 to 40% as we head through the afternoon hours, at least the upper teens. Certainly nothing like what we saw earlier in the week. And then additionally, the map on the right here, we're looking at wind speeds as we head through the weekend. Much calmer winds across the west as we head through the weekend here. So a very stark contrast to what we saw as we began the week across the western half of the country. So here's the fire weather risk, day 1 on the left, day 2 on the right. Again, not highlighting any areas of critical or even elevated fire weather risks here as we head through the day on Friday and then into the day on Saturday. But of course, the damage has been done. We've got fires that are ongoing there, so the effects will continue to the weekend, and that's largely going to be felt in the form of the ongoing fires, but also the very dense wildfire smoke that, as I mentioned, I'm just showing you the same thing that we looked at earlier in the video with the smoke forecast to move back across the western half of the country here as we head through the weekend into early next week. So again, air quality issues. Again, we've got sunny skies, high pressure across the region, but of course that will be cloaked by a very thick haze and at times just very dense smoke. We'll finish looking at the temperatures here as we wrap this video up, and we'll keep the heat going across the northwest as we head into the weekend with the cool air mass across the central part of the country starting to modify. Here are your highs on Saturday from the 90s across parts of Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and western Montana, down to the 70s here as you get into the higher elevations of the Rockies. Here are your highs on Sunday, Monday, and then Tuesday. Be sure to check back with the ag forecast on Monday. Eric will have an update on the potential for some rainfall across the northwest, and then I'll be back to talk about the western region specifically on Tuesday morning. Hope you have a great Friday, a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you again next week.